Well, folks, we have made it to Indy 500 race week. This is it, the greatest spectacle in racing. Welcome to the Speed Street podcast. My name is Connor Daly, driver of the number 76 AM/PM Arco Chevrolet for Juncos Hollinger Racing. I qualified for the Indianapolis 500 over the weekend. Very excited about that. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. There is drama running rampant through the paddock. There are some things that we need to give some more people information about. There's some things that I believe are being overreacted to in a wild way when it comes to all the drama. But we also have an amazing event coming up this weekend that we're going to make predictions for as well. We're going to give you our top 3 predictions. We also are very lucky. We get to talk to the pole sitter for this year's Indy 500, the rookie sensation, the rookie unbelievable story, rookie team, Prema. Robert Shwartzman is joining us on this show as well. First timer on the show. I'm so glad Alex Palou did not win the poll because it would have been really tough to try to figure out who else we were going to interview.
Hello.
But the whole front row was kind of a complete surprise. If you are a frequent listener to this show, you basically knew that I was predicting a Penske 1, 2, 3, and boy, was I wrong. We've got one Penske starting inside of me in 10th and the other 2 on the last row. So,
yeah, the lockout didn't work.
The lockout did not work. However, all 3 of them were still, I would say, they were the fastest cars, but obviously, we have a story to get into with how they ended up where they did.
A different type of lockout.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into it, Chase. Chase, I want to get your thoughts on the overall, practice week. Great Fox coverage as well, by the way. I mean, and I even saw I would get home after the practice days too, and the practice sessions were getting replayed on Fox Sports 1. I mean, there was a ton of IndyCar on television that you could watch. And we love to see that. So shout out Fox for all that, all the production, all the hours of coverage. But Chase, what did you think about the practice leading up to the 500 qualifying and then also qualifying weekend?
Yeah, so for me, I was up in North Carolina this past weekend. I did a lot of Fox Sports app viewing. So big shout out to the app. You can watch it on the app. Don't forget. So that's what I did. I actually went to the NASCAR All-Star race and I watched IndyCar practice on my phone at the NASCAR All-Star race weekend. So that was kind of a W in my opinion. We got to see you guys run and I felt like overall it had this different sense to it this year, like you were saying, I guess maybe from the broadcasting style or just the weather was good, just how the storylines developed through it. It just seemed like it was bigger. I don't know another way to say that. Like, it just seemed like it was way more powerful than it's been, for me at least, through my perspective in the past few years. And maybe that's just because I've been on my journey learning more and more as we go. But it was fantastic. I ended up watching on Sunday as well, getting to see Shwartzman put that Prema rocket up there, dude. That was I don't think anybody expected that. And I think we know that.
Literally no one. Not one person.
Because we've talked about it all year long. Like, it's just that was the biggest afterthought that turned into the biggest shakeup. And then, of course, yeah, with all the drama surrounding the Team Penske, there's just been a lot to discuss. There's been more to discuss than I feel like in a long time around the Indy 500. And you know how I am, man. When it comes to the things and the topics that you discuss, the more the merrier is the way that I look at it, because we've got the whole world looking in right now.
I completely agree. The whole week has been just fascinating, and there is something that's been different about this month of May so far. I mean, the practice, everyone's on edge. As soon as we got to Fast Friday, we could see how difficult cars were to drive. We saw Kiffin Simpson crash, big crash. He had to go to a backup car. We saw Colton Herta have a massive shunt. Marcus Armstrong have a massive shunt. Scott McLaughlin have a massive shunt. Just big accidents because these cars this year are absolutely on the edge in qualifying trim. And it's, it's a combination of everything. We are still going just as fast as last year, essentially, without the hybrid. And then now we have the hybrid and we are still going that fast. So you have extra weight on the car, which, puts more weight into the tires, makes it a little bit more edgy. And, this year as well, the cars are without a doubt either just more efficient, they're producing more power or something, because, a lot of us had to run way more downforce for qualifying than in previous years. A lot of years in the past, you would have, no strakes on the floor. You'd have the rear wing trimmed out. And now most people were running the strakes on the floor for extra grip, for a little bit more consistency. And there were a lot of teams who just flat out did not have the speed, who could not figure it out. They did multiple runs. First time in Alexander Rossi's career, he's done 4 qualifying runs on Saturday to try to improve his time, and didn't. And they did not find it at all. Christian Rasmussen has had 2 crashes that haven't been crashes. Talk about the luckiest dude in the history of lucky. That guy has crashed almost 10 times, I feel like, in front of me, and then has actually spun twice. Christian Rasmussen, good driver, good dude.
He'll send it in there.
But he is, talk about the luckiest person ever to have 2 crashes and not actually destroy the car. That's wild. So there's been so much this week that I think if you're a fan of motorsport, if you're a fan of the Indy 500, this is giving you everything you want. There's now controversy. There is, cars exploding into the wall, flying through the air. Thankfully, every driver is okay, obviously.
Isn't it the most that there's ever been in a while? That's the most flips we've seen in a long time, right?
I feel like it, yeah. Yeah, I do believe so. You're not wrong. I think last year we did not have too many. It just feels like this year, I know exactly why. I am out there driving the car completely on edge myself.
Okay, we need to know.
Yeah, and you are completely just on the limit of control. But you have to be. You have to be to go fast. You have to be to put in, a 4-lap average that is good enough, to be not only in the race, but to be in the Fast 12, to be on the pole for Robert Shwartzman's case. So let's read through the grid. First of all, we'll read through the grid to kind of give everyone the results, the amended results as well. As I believe that on the IndyCar's website, it actually still doesn't have the exact results, but we're going to go through them anyway. So obviously, Robert Shwartzman is on the pole. And how about Takuma Sato? Just an absolutely incredible run. That guy knows exactly how to do it in qualifying. He is, all attack, no chance, whatever, all full, just full throttle all the time.
Too.
No attack, no chance, whatever it is. He's going for it, and just incredible because the next Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan racing car is 18th on the grid, and he is on the front row. So that's wild. And you had Graham, one of his other teammates, barely making the race, which is just astounding. So pretty crazy to see there. But Pato O'Ward doing it for McLaren. He didn't really look super fast all week. Like the car didn't necessarily seem like it had the speed. His teammates, again, didn't quite have the speed. Obviously, there was another McLaren in the Fast 12, but just didn't really seem like they had it. But he made it happen. Scott Dixon ended up P4, and it's funny because Felix Rosenquist was the last car to go out, and everyone thought it looked like he was actually going to be on the front row, but he actually fell off quite a lot on his very last lap of the qualifying run. And the camera immediately went to Shwartzman, and I was like, oh, wait, where did Felix end up 5th? I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah, they just abandoned ship on that after making probably at least 7 different Creed puns. When we were watching him qualify, will he go higher? Just constantly.
Which we love.
It was, so you got to give it to Will Buxton and the boys. They're doing it up there. But yeah, it's just at that moment, I don't think it's like a lot of that stuff is cool. Don't get me wrong. But like I experienced that moment where like all of like the livery, all of the, like what's happening, the culture around it, it all kind of fades away in that moment. You're just drilled in to just numbers floating across the screen at that point, dude. Like Absolutely. Just waiting to see who's going to get it.
Yeah, so that was, that was a surprising drop for me. And then Alex Palou, 6th. I think there were several drivers that I had talked to that were convinced Alex Palou is going to get the pole. They were convinced, but Chevrolet prevailed, and Alex Palou is 6th. Now, David Malukas starting 7th was a big one. David Malukas found a lot of speed out of that car. That was a really, really impressive run. Christian Lundgaard in 8th. Marcus Ericsson in 9th. Again, great run from Marcus drew number 1. And yet again, if you draw number 1, your first run of the day, first run of qualifying, he didn't have to run essentially the rest of the day. Just locked in, easy riding after a good first run. Now, starting in P10 is Scott McLaughlin. Now, Scott McLaughlin obviously had his huge accident that we were glad to see he was all right. And I talked to Scott, and he said his first quote to me was in practice that morning before the Fast 12, Fast 6. He said, the car was talking to me in turn 1, and I didn't listen. And he went into turn 2, and there it was. So massive shunt. Glad he was all right. Now, starting 11th instead of Joseph Newgarden is myself. Right. So I will be starting 11th, which equals my best qualifying result at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I guess technically we made the Fast 12, but not really. And then 12th is going to be Alexander Rossi. Alexander Rossi, the quickest of the Ed Carpenter Racing cars. Now, interesting, but Ed Carpenter Racing, I think we've always seen with Rinus VeeKay to be near the front row. No cars in the Fast 12 for Ed Carpenter Racing. So they have, this might be one of their worst Indy 500 years so far, which is, that's kind of surprising, I would say. Very, very surprising. Kevin Simpson, honestly, great bounce back. Again, a good early draw, really, really helpful for Kevin Simpson, but really great bounce back. Backup car, really, really impressive job for him. Then we've got Ed Carpenter, Santino Ferrucci, Devlin DeFrancesco, my teammate Stingray Robb, Christian Rasmussen, Kyle Larson. Obviously, solid run. He went out there and did just basically a solid run to get himself in there. He's he mid-pack, a little bit towards the back. Louis Foster, Callum Ilott, Helio Castroneves, surprisingly not that fast in qualifying. And the big surprise starting right behind Helio Castroneves, Kyle Kirkwood. A lot of us thought this week, and we saw, I actually saw one of Kyle's Noto runs on Thursday before we got to Fast Friday, and his car, I thought, looked insanely fast. And I have no idea what happened to those guys. Not sure whether it was the qualifying gearbox, qualifying uprights, whatever they put on that car, because everything after Fast Friday essentially gets switched over to another set of uprights, another set of brakes, floors, all kinds of stuff that are supposed to be the ideal stuff for qualifying and maximum speed.
Right.
So I was really surprised by Kyle Kirkwood. Nolan Siegel, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Jack Harvey, Colton Herta obviously making the race after a huge shunt. That was really, really impressive from those guys. They repaired a car literally in a day to get him out before the end of the day. Graham Rahal, I'm honestly super, super happy for Graham. The poor guy has had a lot of stress over the last couple of years. His car has looked like an absolute demon to drive in qualifying trim, and not sure why that is, not sure what's going on there. But Graham actually told me he has a fast car. And I'm not sure if that'll relate in race trim. He says the car is fast, they just can't get it to grip correctly. So that'll be very, very interesting. And then now Marco Andretti as well obviously had to fight to get into the race, essentially. But he was kind of in there well enough. And Marcus Armstrong put the car in the field after a big shunt. And then the man who had to fight to get into the race, the drama of bump day, honestly, the poor guys over at Dale Coyne Racing had basically just one car versus the other. Really, really tough to see that. And Rinus VeeKay, I mean, he has never started worse than 7th at the Indy 500, and I can promise you,
wild.
Rinus didn't just forget how to drive, right? Like Rinus didn't just forget how to but a lot of these cars are so different at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and you just have to do the best you can with what you've got. And Rinus made the race, and sadly Jacob Abel did not. We will talk a little bit more about that. And then obviously Rinus is on the inside of the last row with Joseph Newgarden and Will Power. So That's a wild one. It's
Yeah, I saw Arenas said something where he was like, if you would have told me a month ago that I would be starting right next to Joseph Newgarden and Will Power at the Indy 500, I would have been like, oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, very funny quote. That was a good one. Yeah, I mean it's and sadly Jacob Abel, obviously with his Miller High Life car as well, did not make the field. Yeah. That's just sad. But there will always, those two cars. I don't know what was going on there, but those two cars were nowhere even near the rest of the field.
Has that happened before ever, Connor? Has it been like how many times has it happened to where it's like the same team, two guys on the same team are competing right down there to get in?
Well, I mean, it's definitely been consistent, I would say, the last couple of years with a couple of those Dale Coyne cars. Obviously, we had Nolan Siegel last year who was in the Dale Coyne car not make it. So that's sad for those guys, but it's just tough. The preparation for these cars and everything that has to go into the 500 to find speed. A lot of our fans think like, oh, how could everyone not find it? It's because they are constantly doing more to make these cars faster in the gearboxes, in the uprights, in the floors, just everything to make the car just fast. It has to slip through the air as fast as possible.
And that's not easy to do.
No, not at all. It does take a lot of dedication, a lot of work, and our team has done a great job with our car. But sad to see for Jacob Abel. Hate to see it for him. I was talking to him during the week, and they were optimistic, and it is weird too because Jacob did not look like the slowest car during the practice week. It was the whole way the practice week played out, and when we got to qualifying, it actually did not play out the way we thought it was. Like, Renus actually didn't look that bad on Fast Friday, and Jacob Abel didn't look that bad on Thursday. And we were like, okay, who is it? Is it going to be a Prema car? Like, everyone was still thinking, maybe it's a Prema car. Maybe it's not. I thought for sure Chevrolet would have been fine, and I think they definitely gave us enough juice to be, safe, but just crazy to see how it played out. Before we get into all the Penske drama and all of what happened.
What they're waiting on.
Yeah, I know everyone's waiting on that, and we're gonna get into it. I promise you that, and I can tell you a little bit more about what I know about that. But to talk about our AM/PM Arco Chevrolet for a little bit, we obviously almost made the Fast 12. We did make the Fast 12 on Sunday, but that was obviously too late. That we made it when everyone had the day off, so we couldn't really necessarily.
By the way, I saw your joke that you put out on Twitter.
Yeah, so that was interesting, but we felt pretty confident, I would say, going into qualifying. We had a decent draw for qualifying, and on our first run of the day, it was solid. We were in the Fast 12 still, I believe, until everyone ran, but our car, and this will lead into some of the Penske stuff, our car failed post-run tech. So our car you have to if, for those who aren't familiar, your car goes through tech before you go out and then after you go out. Now, there's really nothing you can do to the car after you go through tech other than adjust your wing angles. Like, hey, if you wanted to trim out right before you go, you can adjust the rear wing angle and the front wing angle. So, but there's really nothing else you can do. And this has never happened to me before, but my time was deleted. Our 4 laps, the run that it was still 12th or 13th or something, but at the time it was deleted. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Like, I didn't want to run again. I didn't really want to run that much because you want to try to be in without having to go again. Right. But to give you an example, our left front wing end plate basically just didn't fit into the regulations, and they're obviously where it has to be angle wise, basic distance to the ground, and we have no idea how that even happened because again, we're running a position on the wing end plate that everyone else is running. It's the wing end plate that we've been running all week long. So, but again,
are we talking like spinometers?
We're talking the tiniest of we're talking literally. We had to adjust the left front wing end fence like 0.5 mil or something like that, like very tiny, maybe even 0.5 centimeter at one point as well. I know 0.5 mil and 0.5 centimeter is definitely a little bit different, but
it just goes to show how serious it is.
But it was a very, very small amount, but you obviously to do that, you would adjust the balance of the car a little bit too, because that's a very, very important aerodynamic piece. Now, we still have really no idea how that happened, because all week long, these cars go through tech every single day. You can run your car through tech every day, multiple times a day, just to make sure everything is in line. And we obviously, pre-tech was fine. Post-tech, I don't know if the wind caught the front wing at a very aggressive angle and just adjusted the way it was sitting. Not really sure on that one. But that put our day into a bit of a tailspin, because now you're like, well, now we have no time. We have no time on the board. And we have to first worry about making the race, because we know we can go faster, but now the conditions suck. The wind is awful. The wind on qualifying day was terrible. And the cars are so crazy on edge that we decided, all right, we've got to go out and put a time on the board. And for some reason, when we did our 4 laps again, there was no speed in the car. Not sure what happened. We were looking at the balance. The balance was okay, but we were just slow. And sometimes that happens. Like sometimes it's too hot for the engine or something, and you're not at the right downforce level. But I was looking at Stingray's data compared to mine, and, I was flat. Stingray was lifting, and Stingray was way quicker than me down the straight. So we were trying to figure out, okay, do we need to trim out? Are we in the right gear range? So we had to figure out, okay, let's come back. I was so frustrated if you saw me after that second run, I apologize, because I was so frustrated with how that run went. I knew our car was faster than what we had done. And I knew that we had more potential in it than that. We knew that all week. We thought on Fast Friday we were really quick. So we had to go back, and we said, look, we are going to try to time this to get one more good run as the sun starts to go down, as the conditions start to improve. But when we get out there and have to get in line, we got to be committed. I had to get in the car all the way in the garage. If you're going to get in lane 2, you have to get in the car in the garage and roll out there ready to go. And when we rolled out there was a lot of cars in line. And it was an hour and a half left in the session. And I was in the car for an hour and 20 minutes before we finally rolled up with like 3 minutes left to go in the session to finally do our last run. And as we were sitting there, we're like, let's trim out. We got to take a chance here. We got to take some more rear downforce off the car. We got to go for it.
Yeah.
And we did. And on our last run, I knew that I had to get creative as well, because we didn't have the raw speed. We didn't have enough just speed to get into the 232 bracket. I just knew it. Like, it didn't matter if we trimmed too much, the car really went out of the window. If we trimmed aggressively, the car just slid around too much. It was almost impossible to drive, very, very dangerous. So we kind of knew what window we were in, and we decided to just take a little bit of downforce out to get close to where we know is going to be really challenging. And those first 3 laps were super, super consistent for myself. The balance, honestly, the team did a perfect job on the aero balance. The aero balance was exactly what I needed. But I got a little creative with the gearing. On our previous 2 runs, we would downshift 6 to 5 out of turn 1, but the tailwind was the wind was a crosswind, so you'd pick up the wind as you come out of turn 1 and go into turn 2. So I thought in my mind, I'm just going to let the wind take me. I'm going to let the wind. So I stay in 6th gear on lap 2 and just carry 6th gear into 2. And I come out of 2 and I see that on my dash, I'm going faster. I'm like, oh, all right, maybe this is good. So I'm down to turn 3, down to 5th gear again. I'm like, man, that's a rough downshift. I got to make sure that I stay in 6th in the next lap. So we go in 3rd lap, 6th gear again. And this time, the previous lap, I had stayed 6th through 1 and then into 2, then downshifted to 5th to get a run off of turn 2.
Right.
This time, I was like, I'm never downshifting. I'm just staying 6th all the way through 1 and 2. And again, faster again, or almost about the same time. And I'm like, okay, this might be a consistent run. My brain was in a blur at this point, because this is all happening in 38 seconds, right? You're trying to what do I have to do better?
Going that fast, mixing up that.
I got to get the weight jacker down every single corner out of 1 and 3, out of 2 and 4, and then I got to get the car back up into 1 and 3. And are my bars right? How can I make this car a little bit more free? How can I get a little bit more speed out of this? Because I knew we could make the fast 12. I knew it. And on the very, very last lap, I basically overthought a little bit. And this has happened to many, many drivers several times. Kyle Kirkwood did it last year. But as I'm getting into one, I'm trying to get the weight jacker as late as possible to just carry more and more speed into one. And I didn't get the jacker back up in time for turn 3. So what does that mean? That means you have a ton of crossweight on the right front. And that basically induces a lot of understeer in the car. Now, we were so loose and free that turn 1 was actually fine. I got through turn 1 okay, still flat. But because of the tailwind pushing you into 2, that gave you a lot more understeer than other corners. And with the weight the way it was, I went in there and I was like, oh, shoot, big lift, because I'm like, I think I'm going to hit the wall. And I knew right then that I probably screwed it up. I was hoping that maybe I could get away with it, but it is on me as we saw in all the public statements that I made. You know what I mean? Like, hey, the driver, I was trying to do my best. I was trying to outthink every part of the car to try to make something happen, and we did to a certain extent. We improved a lot, but we just lost. We went from 231.8 to 231.3, so half a mile an hour, 0.4 of a mile an hour loss just by that lift is all it took to basically take me from P12 to P13. So again, crossing the line. We also had the hybrid stop deploying, sadly, for no reason that we have any idea why. The hybrid also stopped deploying at 15% less, which I really have no idea why it did that.
Was that happening to multiple people?
I don't really know. I don't know anyone else's status on that one, but it definitely happened to me. And I tried to get it to deploy the rest of it on the front straight, but we had a very slow deploy setting.
A lot of people it seemed like there was a lot of hybrid issues.
Yeah, a lot. Well, not hybrid issues, just a lot of different strategies. There were a lot of people.
Deploying.
What was that?
I just saw some parts where like it wasn't deploying for some teams. Like there was some smaller issues. I don't know. That's why I was wondering if it was something for everybody or if it was just.
No, it wasn't. The deploy was just everyone was running it on the last lap, essentially. There were a couple drivers that were running 50% out of turn 2 on the last lap, 50% out of turn 4 on the last lap. Shwartzman, for example, did that. But for the most part, the most efficient way to use the hybrid was a very, very slow trickle deploy all the way throughout the last lap. So 100% down to 0 all during the last lap. That means you're basically deploying like 1.5 Newton meters all throughout the whole last lap. So it just reduces the drag on the drivetrain.
Breadcrumb.
And that's it. So, you know, we had an issue there, which is a shame. But yeah, really solid run still from the team and really happy to have got that in and ended up 13th, obviously, and then now 11th. But really proud of our team, honestly. It was a super cool moment. I really wish I could have made the 12, obviously, because that means we probably would have started at least like 9th or something now, or 10th maybe, as we saw after the penalties. But let's get into the penalties. Let's get into the action that vaulted me from 13th to 11th. There's a lot going on here, and I think we saw the Penske cars, you know, go through tech, get in line to qualify in the Fast 12 session, and all of a sudden we saw cars being wheeled out of there. And there's a video of, you know, some Penske guys like hacking at the rear attenuator with like a blowtorch and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was wild. I didn't even know you could have a blowtorch in pit lane, honestly.
You're right.
That was crazy. Alex Palou's face when he's looking at these guys do the work on the car is one of the funniest videos I've ever seen.
That's a meme now, by the way.
Incredible, yeah. Incredible video. So basically, I think this whole situation is obviously, I think because it's Penske, it is blown up a little bit more, I believe, than it deserves to be. Look,
100%.
Did they break the rules? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, they got penalized for it. So did I. I mean, our car was essentially out of the front wing alignment. Now, again, this is something that isn't, you know, it's not like, you know, you bondoed something onto the car. It is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I had a run taken away from me, and, you know, they had a run taken away from them. You know, they got found to be out of the rules, which, again, Elio Castroneves' quote, I think, was really interesting, where, like, guys, that's not really going to do much. and I know everyone loves to hate Penske. It's like that people thrive on it. And again, that's cool. Like, you can do that. I'm happy they got penalized because obviously that moves me up. I think that they for sure deserve to get penalized as they did. But again, this isn't a reason why they are going to be, they're still going to be very good on Sunday. Like, Penske is still one of the best teams in the sport. And it doesn't matter. Like,
it's just the optics. That's the big thing.
The optics, yeah, I mean, the optics are bad. It is not a good look for those cars. Certainly, obviously, especially after the push to pass gate. We definitely know what happened after that. I was sitting down with Will Power last night. I mean, me, Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herta, a lot of us were just kind of just sitting around the bus lot last night, just talking. And I mean, from a driver's perspective, look, you can't break the rules. Like that's like, and if I was to be found out that, hey, we'd be penalized too. Anyone would be penalized, right? If you're breaking the rules.
Right.
We see this in NASCAR every weekend almost, right? We see this, like, people messing with the rear spoilers and they get kicked out of the race.
You gotta get creative, right?
Again, like I mentioned before, this is not new in motorsport, but the reaction I see online is, and maybe it's just because Roger obviously owns the series. Of course, I understand that. But I don't believe that, this is not a foreign thing. Like, I believe that they're getting, they were very appropriately penalized, right? Hey, you broke the rules. Again, that's what happened. Broke the rules. You're sent to the back. And I actually really respect IndyCar for doing that, right?
Right. But it got called out to him, too, by the way, from what I hear. So it wasn't something that was originally seen. It was called out, apparently, from what I had read online by Chip Ganassi had pointed it out. So this was something that has, and then there was another video that did come out where I think it was Marshall Pruitt went into the museum and he saw on the back of the car that it was like that, but that's a model car at this point. So you really,
I mean,
what's what? There's a lot out there that fans are trying to figure out and wonder. And I think that a lot of what you're talking about right now has to just do with more of a snowball effect of things that are outside of this particular situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe there's a leadership, maybe there's a leadership thing, a leadership issue there where it's like, hey, like after the whole push to pass saga, they need to make sure that no matter what it is, they are following the rules. And again,
integrity at the highest of highs. Yeah.
Absolutely. And obviously that was not followed. There was something wrong. There was something different. And honestly, guys, I promise you, that's not going to do anything. Like it's an extra little tiny bit of efficiency maybe. And again, we all are fighting for the smallest things, but I would like that if it is a small thing, right? If it's a small thing, I want that too. But I promise you, those cars were just as fast yesterday. They are just as fast. I mean, Scott's car, after even being thrown into the sky upside down, just as fast. It's a backup car. Joseph Newgarden looked just as fast yesterday. So again, there is way more to it than that. But again, I am glad that a penalty was issued because again, and I don't want people to think that I'm trying to side with these guys at all because look, Joseph is my friend. Will Power is my friend. Scott McLaughlin is my friend. Great people. And I truly believe that because I know them, more than most. But I think people are coming after them in a way that is a bit aggressive at times because we see this everywhere in motorsport.
Right.
You are pushing the boundaries all the time. People push it over the limit. You see it in NASCAR every single weekend. Someone's getting impounded. Their spoilers have the wrong, washers in them or something's flexing a little bit too much. We've got illegal rear wings in Formula One where you're trying to bend the limit of the rules.
Yeah.
Like, look.
People need to check their emotions at the door here.
These things happen all the time, and I don't believe that. I still, and again, you can fight me on this. Like that's cool. I'm happy they got penalized because again, if I saw other people breaking the rules, I'm not just going to say, that's cool. But should the process have happened quicker? Should it have been identified quicker? Yeah, but honestly, I wouldn't have known to look at the rear attenuator. Honestly, I was like, shoot, I thought that. that's something to me where you look at it, I'm like, shoot, I would have never even thought to look there. Honestly, I don't know. I just thought that was on there. You know what I mean? So
right.
It was very interesting. And again, I know that this is going to be a very, very aggressive topic. And again, people are like, well, why is Jacob Abel not in the race? They probably had it on Saturday. Why am I not in the Fast 12 myself? I'm like, look, Jacob Abel's still not making the race no matter what. Like, if you could have taken the rear wing off the Penske car and it probably still would have been faster than Jacob's car. Sadly. I mean,
we love Jacob,
the truth. That's just the truth. I love Jacob. He's a great guy, but that's sadly the truth of it. And again, even if this was found, let's say, okay, it should have been found as soon as they rolled up on the Saturday, right? Okay, they pull out of line. They got to fix it. Okay, cool. I do believe that because of when it was found, it looks worse. Absolutely. It definitely looks worse. But you got to remember that there are humans in tech. I believe humans can't always be absolutely perfect. You know what I mean? And for our front wing situation in tech, I had heard that there had been one guy checking the wings all week long and they were cool. And then there was a new guy checking them when our wing got DQ'd. Maybe there's a different interpretation. I don't know because I wasn't there. That's just speculation. So don't hold anyone to that. But our IndyCar officials are very smart people. They're out here trying to make sure everyone is competing fairly, and they work long hours. They look through everything. And Rocket is, Rocket's good at his job as well. Who's the, the head of all the officiating. But overall, boy, does it make the race more exciting. I think
they're talking.
It makes the race so much more exciting. And I, having two of the best cars in the field come from the back, I think it's awesome. I mean, what do you think?
So, I mean, I'll just say it like this. Everything that you were saying right there, it kind of just leads into, like, why are the fans blowing this up? Because if it was anybody other than Penske, it probably wouldn't be as big of a story. And it's just because of all of just the toxic stuff that has just been dragged through time with Roger and with the series. And I feel like that's all a lot of this is. And, I mean, I'm going to call a spade on that. Like, this, you got to look at this is somebody got caught trying to better their position in an event, and you leave everything else that happened in the past and in front, you just leave it out the way. Look at it for what it is right there in the present moment. And when you can do that, you can realize, like you were saying, everybody's trying to get creative. Everyone's trying to figure out, what can I do to be a little bit better? That is racing, and that is what racing was founded on, and that is what people have been doing for decades.
Yeah,
so
forever.
We have to, you have to learn as a fan to like be able to understand that is a competitive thing. And it doesn't always mean that Roger himself is the one that got on the phone like he was the evil doctor to call it in.
Roger is not in the shop out there looking at the attenuators like,
no, what's going on, dude?
Roger cares about the integrity of this sport. I can promise you that. And there are people who are going to hate Roger forever, which I still don't understand, but that's what sports are about. Like, there are sports fans that hate their owners of their teams, for certain reasons.
People hate successful people, dude.
Well, that also as well. But again, I'm not siding with them. Like, again, let's make that clear. We're not siding here.
Unbiased.
But I'm just, I try to give you the information that I know and that I see as like, hey, this cannot happen. Like, this cannot happen, honestly, ever again for this team. And I think, honestly, the tech process is going to be highly scrutinized from, not that it isn't already, but if you have a car that wins the Indy 500 and it fails tech for any reason, I think the standard has been set that you're going to be kicked out, right? Like, and again, not like they wouldn't anyway, I feel like, but it's going to be I think everyone is going to be under the microscope from now on. Not that they weren't already, I guess, but we are getting into the nitty-gritty, tiny details. I mean, I would have never thought that this, bondoing the Bondo boys over there at Penske are getting these rear attenuators, sorted out. But, again, I think you're going to see Joseph Newgarden near the top 10 by about lap 100. I think Will Power, I saw Will Power at the beginning of the Monday practice. I went out right behind him. Will Power ran lane 2 at Indianapolis for 4 laps in a row. So Will Power's going straight to the outside. He's already planning his moves around the outside. It's going to be a crazy race. You've got a rookie leading from pole, which he has never raced on an oval. And look, let me tell you, I was behind him a bit in practice. Our race car is insane. I'm so lucky right now. I feel really good about our car. I'm trying not to overreact, but our car is so fast and so good.
I love it.
I caught Robert at one point. Definitely looks a little nervous, and you'll hear from him about his race car, but there is information that he can't possibly know. He can't possibly know it yet because he's not been through it. And He's a very good driver. We know that. He's very skilled. But oval racing is so unique and so difficult that, it's going to take him, at least 130 laps in this race to really kind of get a feel for what he wants and what he needs in traffic. But I think that will make the beginning of this race so exciting. You've got Takuma Sato up there who, again, I'm not going to lie to you, he didn't look that great in race trim running either yesterday. I think there are cars that truly do not, they might have had the speed by themselves, but I do not think they look great in race trim. And I think that is going to be, and I think Joseph looks like one of the best cars in race trim.
That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we've focused on race trim all week long. We feel super good about it. But yeah, what a week. I couldn't believe that I woke up and I would be starting in the Fast 12. Just such a crazy deal. And the news all week long. The news that I was talking about, by the way, in our last episode that I couldn't say was the Gateway race being a night race. Let's talk about that really quick, just very briefly. Gateway Sunday primetime. There were some people that had some differing opinions on that, but I am super pumped about that. I think that's awesome for Fox. Shout out Fox for adjusting times. They're listening to people. Guess what? They're listening. The haters are going to hate that, but they're listening to people and adjusting times. Gotta love that. And then a sellout. I knew that it was going to be a sellout. I couldn't announce it yet, but the sellout for the Indianapolis 500, it is truly going to be absolutely astronomical. It's going to be insane. I cannot wait for this event. The people coming, the crowd, the celebrities that are going to be there. I mean, man, it feels good. Feels good to say that the Indy 500 is a sellout again. I love it. And you're going to be there too, Chase, right?
I am. I'm here in the International Chase Station right now, but I will be blasting off around 4 a.m. Central Time, heading up to the great Speedway, Indiana. I'm pumped, dude. I'm ready to get up there with you guys and just be in the aura of Speedway. There's nothing like it. There's no place like it. So I'm going to be all around. I'm going to be out on the streets. I'm going to be checking out some cuisine, hanging out with some fans. And then, of course, just being at the track all weekend long. We'll be around. So if you see me, say hi. And dude, I'm so ready. I know how much this means to you, and not just how much it means to you, but how much it means to every other guy that's out there that we talk to all the time. So, brother, I just lock in, dude. Lock in and just rip top, dude.
I'm locked in. I really am. I can't really explain how good this car has been. Day one was the only issue where we struggled a little bit, had to get it in the window. But once this team got me where I wanted, I mean, it has been, man, I've been pointing back to how my 2021 Indy 500 car felt.
Yep.
Which
my first race, by the way, first Indy 500, by the way.
There you go.
Before I even knew who you were.
if folks know or remember that year, that was the year where I led the most laps, and that car was truly an absolute rocket ship. And I get the same vibes from this car. There's something that you can just feel. It sucks up in the draft really well. It cuts how I want to cut in the corners. It's something that, we're going to keep our heads on straight. We're going to stay focused one day at a time. We still have carb day to get ourselves a little bit more dialed in. We've got to have perfect pit stops. We've got to have perfect strategy calls. Everything's got to go right. But I believe that if for some reason we get behind, we can work our way back up. So I'm very, very excited about that. But we've got to make some predictions for this race. Yeah. Guess what? It's on Sunday on Fox, and the blackout has been lifted. So if you're in Indiana, you can enjoy the race as well. Huge news for us. I believe we almost had 1 million people watching the qualifying, which again was a little bit down from NBC numbers. But I truly believe that that is still great. Almost 1 million people tuned in on Fox to watch the qualifying show on Sunday, which I thought was awesome. But Chase, let's get to our top 3 in no particular order picks for the Indianapolis 500. I would like you to go first, and then
Absolutely. I appreciate it. So obviously you are first on that list. It's Connor Daly. This is just the race you never count out, Connor Daly. And I hope it's you that's at the top come Sunday. I'm also going to go with Scott Dixon, and I'm going to go with Pato O'Ward for this year.
All right. Those are good picks. This one's going to be really interesting. I think the strongest cars that I've seen out there, and I'm literally looking through the field as I'm kind of scrolling through myself. I am going to pick myself. I would like to pick myself. I truly do feel like I've got one of the best cars right now.
Yes, sir.
I think other than that, the tough reality is that Alex Palou also has a very, very good car, and I'm going to pick Alex Palou. I don't know if the McLarens can get it done. I really do not know that, but I'm also going to pick Scott McLaughlin. So I'm going to pick me, Palou, Scott McLaughlin. I think those are truly some of the best cars right now. I don't believe Joseph's going to be able to make it up there. I think he's going to get close, but I'm just not sure. And I'd like to put a wild card pick in there, Kyle Kirkwood. I think Kyle Kirkwood still does have a good car. I think Kyle Kirkwood is my wild card pick. I know we don't normally have wild card picks. Also, this might be a fun fact. Kyle Larson looked really good on Monday. Kyle Larson did look.
Do I get a wild card?
You can have a wild card. Yeah, pick a wild card.
If I'm going with a wild card, I'm adding Scotty Mack in the mix too. Okay, I can't leave Scotty Mack out because I know that he'd be floating in that yellow submarine. All right,
I love that. I also did just get some interesting photographs. Looked like some right front tires were blistering on some of these cars on practice yesterday. So looked like the Joseph Newgarden car had a little bit of right front tire blistering, according to some spy photographs that we see. So maybe the tire wear is going to be something you got to pay attention to. The right front tire blisters. That'll be interesting. Very, very interesting. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, really, really pumped for this weekend. Obviously, we've got Carb Day. You can watch that on television. Sunday, race day. That's obviously going to be on Fox. You got to tune in. For those who have, newly subscribed to the YouTube channel or listen to the podcast for the first time, we appreciate you. I'm blown away. The Helio Castroneves episode didn't really get watched or listened to a lot. I thought that was a great episode. So if you haven't checked that out, please do check that out. But with that, I think let's get to our guests. I know we talked a lot about what was going on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation. We rooted out the people who had the illegal parts on their car. We got them penalized, and now we're going to go to the pole sitter who is truly. We haven't even actually talked about what he did yet, and maybe we will briefly. But Robert Shwartzman, what he did was really impressive. That car, though, is a rocket ship. I mean, all of us driving in the paddock, as soon as he did his first qualifying run, we were like, this guy is probably going to get the pole. Maybe.
What are they doing?
I think I think Joseph and Scott probably would have got him. I do believe that, but I think he would have been on the front row. I do believe, even if Scott and Joseph got to do their run, I think he still would have been on the front row.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, but Robert Shwartzman, that car, there again, like I mentioned, there are some cars at Indy that just flat out go. And that car is an absolute rocket ship by itself. So, but the driver still has to do the driving too. And the cars are on the edge. Robert did it. He made no mistakes. And I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. So, let's get to the pole sitter for the 2025 Indy 500, Robert Shwartzman. Ladies and gentlemen, this week we have someone very, very special on this show, someone we've been needing to get on the show. We've been needing to get to know a little bit more because he's an IndyCar driver now, and something that is very, very special, an Indy 500 pole sitter in literally one of the craziest days I think we've seen at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. New team, new driver, first rookie in more years than I've been alive to be on pole for the Indianapolis 500. Robert Shwartzman. Great job. Congratulations. Everyone's been asking you the same stuff probably all the time. How does it feel? Oh my gosh, it's got to be amazing. You guys are doing media. The photos are awesome. But has it sunk in? Has it been something that you didn't expect to be as big as it is? Or how does that work now?
Well, thanks for that. No, it didn't soak in. It's quite unbelievable. Listen, I think a week ago, all of you guys, and I think everybody at the track thought that, oh, we're going to be at the limit of getting bumped out of it. Like, we're going to be battling for the last chance. And, starting the practice, the fact that we missed also the first day of practice, I was like, okay, listen, the important just to keep it cool. Let's just get the car on track, see how good it is, and, keep going forward. And, from free practice just onwards, we just like step by step, just try to new things, and they were working. And, it's just like, we try this, we try that, and it starts to get in a bigger picture that the car starts to really go fast. At the same time, I could control it. So yeah, at that stage, I was just, like speaking with my engineer, I was like, let's just go easy. It seems that it's working. We just got to keep the motivation, keep the work like this. Don't rush. Don't do things, that we don't need to do. And he has a lot of experience. So my engineer for this race is Eric. He worked with Joseph a couple of years ago with Penske. So he knows how to do his job here in Indy. So, I was just like, you're the brain of the operation. I will be the one who is going to execute it on track. And, it just worked so great. Like when I came to the qualifying, like the car was just so good. And, I could control it. Yeah, it was a little bit on the edge. Like I gotta say, it was, a bit moving. But, Connor, like when the car is fast, it's always on the edge. So that's where you need to be at. And, it's just unbelievable because when we joined up in the top 12, actually, you were really unlucky. I remember I was watching, like, the whole stadium was just like, come on, Connor. And you just like this final lap where you just, like you said, you just fucked it up with a wrecker. And I was like, okay, we're in top 12. All right. I was already super happy because it was so like, it's like an achievement, after a very difficult first 5 rounds, we finally get in top 12 and like, yeah, it's Indy 500. That's cool. And then on Sunday, when we did the top 12 run and I managed to be P3 out of all of the 12 guys, I was like, oh, listen, like it's getting even better. Like we're getting there. And then when I went in top 6, I've had a look at a couple of cars, and it was only me and Sato's car who were very similar, and the other cars were different. And I was like, well, it's either me and Sato are gonna be screwed here, or we are gonna be actually faster. And then when I saw Takuma being faster than who was it there? I remember it was the car.
Was it? Well, I mean, he was faster than Pato, right? And Felix.
Yeah, he was. And I was like, when I seen this, that he's actually the fastest guy, I was like, maybe the car is actually, maybe we've done everything right in terms of like setting the car up. And, when I went out, the target was just like, just hold at 4 laps. Just don't do a mistake. Don't end up like Scotty or Colton or Marcus, just keep it there. Whatever happens. We already achieved a really big thing. And the car was just amazing. Like 4 laps, like I could just keep it holding it. And I was like, when I passed by, I was like, so where are we? Like, how was it? Like, it felt good, but I don't know compare others. And he was like, that's P1, man. And I was like, what? Like, literally, the first impression was like, how did that happen? And then I watched Pato and Felix being, following behind me. And when I was seeing the last lap of Felix, I was like, well, this is actually happening. We're actually gonna be sitting on pole for the Indy 500. And man, it was amazing. Like, honestly, then I don't remember much. It was just a chaos. Like, people just went nuts. Everybody went nuts. Everybody started touching me, pulling me, screaming at me, like everything. It was just mess.
What I loved though is when you got out of that car, you weren't on pole yet. I mean, there were still 2 cars to come, but I think there's something about this place that the crowd is super respectful for the new guys that come in, right? I think when there's a new guy, a rookie that does really well, there's something about this crowd that I think they just enjoy that underdog story. They enjoy that feeling of seeing someone just, kind of just blow the expectations out of the water. And when you got out of that car, the crowd, waving to the crowd, it didn't matter if you were going to get bumped off of pole or not. I think that was still something that it was like, hey, you were just really pumped about, like, we finished that 4 laps. That felt really good. And honestly, all of us in the pit lane knew that you were going to be on pole. Like, I don't think anyone had anything for you, But what was that like, hearing the crowd when you got out there? What was, I mean, this is qualifying, right? This isn't the race yet, but it is. It looks like a race win because this is so big. It matters so much. What was it like hearing that crowd for like the first time?
Yeah, honestly, at that stage when I jumped out of the car, I did not care if I would be in pole or whatever, what position. I was just happy with the run. I was happy to see so many people around. Like, it was just crazy. And I just wanted to salute them and, say thanks from my side for the support because, it's like you said, I was underdog. So we were like no one. And then all of a sudden people just recognized and they started immediately to support. And I was like, this is so cool, because I'm coming from let's say from European side. And as not all of the people may know, but I've been quite in a difficult position in the past couple of years, at least with, all the political stuff. And I was battling my way to Formula One, and unfortunately it didn't happen. And I know what it feels like to be, judged by something you don't even control. Like, we are all born in different, places, and you cannot judge by, saying that this country is good or this is bad. And, it felt really bad in that sense that, they were judging me not for who I was and what I have achieved, but from where I was coming from. And for me, that was wrong. And here in US, guys, they don't care where you come from. They just like, if you're a cool guy, you're good, we'll support you. And that's the thing. Because also when you were doing the lap, like, there was a lot of people like shouting there. And I was like, they're supporting you and they don't care. Like, are you battling for top 12 for P1 or P24, whatever it is? If you're a cool guy and they like you, you're funny, you're respecting them, they will always respect you. So that was really cool. So that's why I jumped out of the car, had a like big wave to them. And, it just felt amazing. The feeling of, finally being at a place where they respect you, where, you're not judged, from where you.
I love that. Chase, I'm going to let you get one in here too.
Yeah. So, Robert, first off, congrats on being the first rookie in over 40 years to get the pole at the Indy 500. Another first that I found this week was that you may be the first rapper that is also a driver. I want to talk about your song Action. I found it online, and dude, I just think it's awesome that you're a driver and that you have like that artist mentality. Tell me a little bit about some of your influences in rap and hip hop. How did all that get started?
Well, it started quite a long time ago with my dad listening to music, like deep music, classic music. And I was just like, initially as a kid, you're like, classic music is boring. Like, it's nothing. What is this? I didn't like it, honestly. At that stage, I was a huge fan of Linkin Park. I was just like, to heavy metal, Metallica, all that stuff. I still love it, like, honestly. And then when I started to listening quite a lot of Linkin Park, with Chase Bennington, what's his name? Chase Bennington, right?
Chester Bennington, yeah.
Chester.
Yep.
And they were mixing up hip hop with metal, and I was like, this is a cool combination. Like, I gotta get a bit more knowledge into hip hop. How does it is? And then I started looking at the films and TV series about like Biggie and Tupac and their storylines and how they were like battling, like how they were friends and then they got like against each other. And, for me, it was actually more not like a thing that they were just at some point, I don't like you. It was actually how they were influenced by the different side of the coasts, or their labels, that there was like Suge Knight against Puff Daddy at that stage. And, it's like all of this crazy thing was going on, like that business above that we don't see. And, it was influencing a lot of like people and in the industry. And I was just like getting into it. Plus there was Marshall Mathers, so Eminem. That was, just like his songs. I don't know how many albums I have of his songs, like, but like a lot. And, he just rocked up as let's say a white kid who just completely impressed the whole hip hop industry because, it's been perceived in a different way. And I was like, no, it's really cool place. I just started to like it, at least to listen. I was just getting into it, listening. And then at some point when my dad passed away, I was at home and I had a friend who was doing, let's say, hip hop in a professional way, like writing songs and, creating his own stuff. And he was like, yo, you want to just show up, come by and, try something just for fun. Like, it was actual just fun thing, like nothing serious. I didn't even plan to post anything, to do any song, nothing. I don't even have a a musical degree. I didn't went to the music school. So I have nothing. I knew that this is not my, let's say, a place where I'm gonna be strong. But when I went there, it just felt so cool and so out, like, I don't know how to say, so natural to vibe on beats, create it. You can give a vibe to a song. You see, like, he was like, so what vibe you want to bring? Like sad, happy, like cool, make it a bit different. And, you're just like fantasizing. And it's like, I would like to do it this way. And then you put the lyrics, the idea, what you want to speak about. And then you try to connect the beat with the lyrics. And it's just so much fun. And I've done that just like this song that you heard. That's the only one I released. It's just a fun. Like I didn't do it like on a professional basis. I didn't have a studio. I didn't go to like
just
Sony
vibing
or anywhere with super professionals. It was just me and him basically like playing around, and we just did that song. I was like, I don't have any studio or label behind me. I'll just release it on my own. Just put it out and let people hear it, and people really liked it. And I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. But then I was like, okay, if I want to make it more professional and, make it big, I got to get like a proper, let's say, background behind me, because just to, send music on my own, it's not going to spread out massively, because I'm known as a racing driver, not as a musician. So, and there at the stage, I was in Europe, and in Europe, it was a bit difficult to find, a proper label for that. And then I was like, at some point I just forgot about it, because I started having political issues, and generally it was just different. And I lost also a bit this, vibe that I want to be an artist or like create something. It's normal, when you start being criticized by a lot of people, you lose a bit of this motivation, let's call it. And then when I came here to US, I was like, one of the also things that I thought at some point, maybe here, I'll be actually coming back to the music, let's say, part, because I know that America here, it's the number one of like, so music industry, like it's worldwide, everybody listens to American like singers and groups and stuff like that. So I was like, maybe at some point I'm going to get lucky. I'll get some, people connection, and I'll start releasing music here.
You're already doing it, man. You're fusing it together. And I mean, I think that
awesome.
The big thing is with racing too, like how you can take that free flow, that good feeling that you have. How can you connect that like with like, how does that translate into what you do as a race car driver?
The funny thing is like you guys probably will understand the music stuff when you're working on it and you're creating it, it seems a bit like you're working with your engineer. So like us and racing stuff, we sit down, we look at the data, we look at the video, we try to, play around with a car setup, and we say, let's try this, let's try that. Obviously, we're implementing it in the real car, and we're testing it in the real stuff. In music, it's more digital. So, but you still, you sit down, you say your program, and you add up like beats, you add ad libs, you add some cool features, sample things, you just get like I don't know, somebody said something, it's like, this is a good motivational speech. You cut it off, you sample it, you implement it in a song. So you have this, background work that is cool, and you try things, and it's very similar in some way as a racing, let's say, industry. And when you sing and when you try to, make it a song, and when you try to get the right flow, it's like doing a proper nice lap on track. Like when you get everything right, it's so smooth, everything works perfectly. It's same thing in the studio when you just sing and you feel this vibe. And that's why it's also another thing I've noticed. You have to also be like mentally you have to have a good day, because it's such a big like there were some times we would get up and it doesn't work. Like, you try to sing, but nothing it doesn't connect. And whenever you get a good day, everything just goes smooth, like ideally. Same for us here at the racetrack. We can have good days, we can have bad days, and the difference is quite big.
I love that. That's honestly an awesome story, and it just the personality that you have. We want to share this with the IndyCar fan base, because again, great fan base. It's a fan base that wants to get behind, new drivers as well. But I have a question about some of your team members. There's a lot of actually folks on your team that I've worked with throughout my career. And Ryan Briscoe, we were teammates at the Indy 500 as well. I want to know what he has been saying to you. I want to know what his influence has been like, because Ryan Briscoe has driven for Penske. Ryan Briscoe has many wins in the IndyCar series. I mean, Ryan Briscoe is extremely successful and a very, very smart guy. When you come up on this event, this is your first oval race. I think that's literally that's wild.
Nuts.
To me, it was my first big oval race as well when I was a rookie. But what has his influence been like as you get into this lead up to the biggest race in the world?
Well, with Ryan, we worked quite a lot, especially now that, like you said, first of all, he done pole position himself here. So he knows how to do that. He is helping a lot the team. He's helping a lot me, especially because I'm the rookie. So I definitely have quite a lot of questions. So sometimes I can come up and, like, so Ryan, how did you do this? How was it there? And, he's always really, really like welcoming. He's like, okay, so this is how I've done. So he doesn't say how I should do it. He just says how he has done it, what was his experience. And then it's up to me to decide whether I want it or not. Like the fun fact, in the top, coming into top 12 and in top 12, I was, just as for your reference, I was having a front bar at free, like a position free. So it's like the medium. And the car was a bit on the edge, on the nose, like it was on the limit. And he was like, listen, you know what? In your opinion, now it's going to be a bit cooler. Go to bar P4. But that's just as a suggestion. And he did it, and he didn't implement it. He said, go do it. He said, I would, in your position, would do that. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I got to listen to the guy. Like, he knows, probably he knows. So that's where, when I went on my quali run, I put it to before, and the car was actually better. Like, it was another step forward. And it was more calm, and I could actually manage to finish the fourth lap being flat. Because before, I was, like, the first two laps, they were good, and then I was sort of losing the rear, and, I started to lift. So these little things that Ryan was bringing in, it were really, really useful. Like the tips and tricks. And even now, like I said to Ryan, after we took the pole, I was like, we did an amazing job. It's all cool, but let's focus on the race because, man, I have never raced on the oval. I don't know how it feels like. It's like, you got to get me through how to start, how to, the cars procedures. How should I defend? How should I overtake? How does it, everything should be done? And we already spoke a bit, but obviously with so many media stuff and like a lot of attention now, I didn't have much time, and also I was quite exhausted. Like yesterday, I was like really tired. I was like, let's take it step by step. We luckily have a bit of time to prepare, but yeah, he's definitely helping a lot. And same as for the other guys, like you said, there is a lot of good guys who are really like pushing hard and doing their best. So I don't know what's going to be in the race, man. Like Indy 500, there is even the guy on the last place can win it. So it's something that we can't control, but certainly I will do my best to do the best job as possible.
Absolutely. Now, I know we don't want to take up too much of your time because you got, again, like you said, a lot going on. But I think with this race, there's a lot of like history and very, the start being 3 wide, right? Like there's a lot of, it almost feels like a different, in my opinion, it feels like a bit of a different race start than normal. It feels like you're like, all right, we got to do this to where it looks awesome for the, the sold out crowd. And no matter what, the leader has his chance to go. But has Ryan talked to you all at all about like, hey, like when you're on pole, like you control the pace here. And remember, there's a bunch, 11 rows or 10 rows of 3 behind you. And no matter what, it's going to feel a little bit like a, kind of like a show, but you got to, you still want to win, right? So you got to be the first to go. But has there been any talk of like, hey, you know what? This might not be, a normal race start that you're going to go through?
We haven't came close to that topic yet.
Nice. That's all right.
Well, then
how is your race car? Let's get into that. Because Monday, we were back in race trim. Real quick before we let you go, how's the race car feel? Obviously, a lot more downforce on, different things going on, but how does it feel when you get deep in traffic? Because at some point, like obviously you want to lead the whole day, but at some point you might be, deep in traffic. How's it feel?
Well, initially it was a bit off again in balance-wise, but then we tweaked it and it was way more under control. I think overall, I've tried to be at the front, let's say, like with a couple of guys in front with a big pack behind. And, overall, the car felt pretty good. I think still looking at the general, it seemed like Palau has a little bit more grip than me and Pato because it was a train with us. And it seemed like Alex could follow a bit closely than I could. So we're working on trying to figure out a bit better car for the race. We'll see it on the carb day. We'll have another go. But yeah, anyways, like you said, also about the start, I think overall, I will do what I have to do. I will also analyze from the past how it has been done. Also, Scotty McLaughlin, he came to me and he sort of also gave a tip, like how he did, because last year he started from pole. So thanks for that as well. I will do my best. I'll try to make it safe. For me, it's important that everybody is smooth and safe. Like there is not going to be a chaos. And because I know that, listen, even if I'm going to be overtaken in the first corner, like here with a slipstream, you can always next lap get it back. So it's not like a normal racetrack where if you lose the lead, it's quite difficult to gain it back. So for me, I want to believe that if you stay just at the top pack, you can always, play around with it. And as you said, it's a big race, a massive, big show. And I hope that people are going to enjoy it. And we're going to enjoy it as well, the racing, the battling. And I hope, and the important thing that everybody should be safe as well, because this race is aggressive.
It's a crazy one, man. Well, hey, we appreciate that. We know you got to run. Would love to have you back on the show at some point, because I think there's still some great conversation to be had. And honestly, it was really cool. I love this event and seeing rookies do crazy. I mean, my rookie year, Alex Rossi won the race as a rookie, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" You know what I mean? And it's just a cool story. The history of this place is incredible, and you made history. So that's something that I think is really respectable. And obviously, I want to beat you on Sunday, but we love this event no matter what. And we're happy for you, because it's been a cool week, and it's been cool to see everyone's reaction for sure.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'll see you on Friday and Sunday then.
Oh yeah, we will see you there. Don't you worry. Man. Thank you, Robert Shwartzman. We will see you on the grid. What a great interview with the pole sitter. Sadly, we only had 20 minutes with him, but hopefully we'll get to chat with him again at some point this year. I think it would be a terrific conversation to expand more on not only his musical knowledge, but also his racing career. To be honest, I literally knew nothing about this dude. I knew nothing of Robert Shwartzman at all.
Same.
I knew his name because I know motorsport and I follow motorsport, and I saw him in the Ferrari Formula One cars, and I knew him. The guy seems super cool. Like, he seems super chill. Talked to him a little bit at casino night after Fast Friday. I have a lot more respect for the guy every day. So cool to be able to chat with him. What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, I was just blown away. My friend Buddy texted me this morning. He was like, "Did you see this?" And it was literally him in the studio from 2023. And I was like, "We have to know. We have to talk about this." That guy right there, he's got some spunk to him. I'll say that. So I'm definitely curious to learn more about Robert Shwartzman, aka Rocket Shwartzman, after this weekend. So
Shwartzman,
Rocket Shwartzman. What a name! What a guy!
All right. Well, with that, we're going to come to the end of the Indianapolis 500 preview show, and who knows? Maybe next week we will get to celebrate an Indy 500 win for the AM/PM Arco Chevrolet. I certainly hope so. We're going to be giving it our best shot. Very, very exciting weekend ahead. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. I think this is going to be a really fun one. Feel free to jump in the comments, see what you guys think. Tell me your thoughts. But yeah, just kind of wanted to let everyone know how's it been going, who I thought looked good in race trim, and give you our predictions. So with that, let's get to the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who make up the field?
This week, we decided to go with the race 100 years ago, essentially, the 1925 Indianapolis 500. Obviously, this is the 2025 Indianapolis 500. So 100 years ago. That's insane.
Long time.
The 14th place finisher is Bob McDonough. Bob McDonough, or McDonough, maybe. He was born in the year of 1900. Robert Webster McDonough was an American race car driver. Made 38 starts in the AAA Championship Racing from 1924 to 1932. Again, board track era, as we talked about before, the board tracks. That was most of his career. Pretty wild lifestyle. Also, fun fact, McDonough did stunt work for movies and later worked as an airplane mechanic. That's wild.
Whoa.
Didn't know that one. Bob had several Indy 500 starts, 1924, 25, 27, 29, and 32. with a best finish, it looks like, of 6th place. So Bob and I are tied right now for that's both of our best finishes at the Indy 500. So maybe I can improve that this year. So shout out Bob. That's our preview episode. Ricky Treadway, Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week. Can't wait. So
He looks like Richard Gere.
yeah,
I just want to say that. He looks
maybe
just
he was.
like Richard
Now he's
Gere.
He's a stunt guy. So maybe he was in there. Who knows?
Oh.
All right, folks. Well, we appreciate you. If you want to get some merch, there's Speed Street merch available. Shout out to all those folks who have come to the track wearing Speed Street hats. I've signed a few of them. I've enjoyed seeing them. I've tried to give out as many stickers as possible. I've almost pretty much ran out, so sorry about that. There have been some folks who have been kind of upset with me because I didn't have stickers, so I'm sorry. I really am. I promise you. I'm trying my best, but I can't always have stickers on me. But if I do, that's just a bonus, so we're going to go with that. And yeah, there's also some Connor Daly merch available at the tracks thanks to the shop. They've got a trailer there. Go get some T-shirts. Go get some hats. I'm really pumped about our T-shirts and hats this year. And with that, we will see you after the greatest spectacle in racing. Don't miss out. It's going to be truly, truly fantastic. Nice and cool weather. Looks like going to be fast. So we'll see you next week on Speed Street. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.